Shots fired.
Just a legal question. I don't know why it's so upsetting. I don't make the rules in this country. All right. So Friday, Zelenskyy entered the White House in his military fatigues and left with a boot up his ass. If we would have insulted America any worse, Jane Fonda would have banged him. Talk about, thank you. You never know what works. But talk about a disaster. That may have been the messiest scene in the Oval Office since Bill Clinton used a blue dress for target practice. So in the interest of world peace, let's address Zelenskyy directly. Dude, you gotta drop the Napoleon complex. As a short guy, I'm an expert. I know what it's like to have a parade described to me by a tall 12-year-old. But you got to accept that you need us far more than we need you. It's the same thing I told my foster kids. And however righteous your cause is, America voted for a guy who doesn't want to embroil this country in another war where we empty the treasury into an endless graveyard. This isn't 2022, and you're not dealing with an old man who couldn't tell Europe from Gilligan's Island. A lot's changed. First of all, for all the talk of Trump being a fascist, right now it's Trump and his crew who are the only ones talking peace. Because just like the chaos of an open border or the crime caused by defunding the police, wars sure look exciting to those who don't have to fight them. Just ask Tim Walz. But Vlad needs to understand what is actually meant by a deal. It means you're not going to get everything you want. You're going to have to bend a little, a lot actually. Because as Trump said, you don't have the cards to play no matter what your Democrat buddies are telling you. You're at the kids' table, and you're still not the tallest one there. See, Vlad got tricked by the people who can't save him, i.e. the Dems he campaigned with last year and met prior to meeting Trump last Friday. Today, they're about as influential as Dylan Mulvaney at a men's retreat. And while it's good to see Europe has your back, Vlad, you're asking them to kick Russians out of Ukraine when they can't even kick Hamas out of London. Burn. The Dems used Vlad to provoke a fight with Trump so they could poke the bear that is Trump. In a way, they're like your loudmouth friend who starts a fight in a bar and then tells you, go ahead, I'll hold your coat. Zelenskyy got played. He got snotty with the one group of people on this planet in a position who could save his ass. I mean, imagine being the guy who's about to go to the electric chair, but then you get a call from the governor and you end up telling him that his wife is fat. That's Vlad. And the people who wrote your script for you, America's hapless Dems, have been wrong on every issue. All those dopes who say what Trump and Vance did was awful were the same people who said Biden was sane. Meaning if Adam Kinzinger, Jen Psaki, Morning Joe, and CNN think Friday was the worst, then you know it was the best. Even more, not knowing where half the money we sent to Ukraine is, not a good look, especially when we have a few budget problems of our own. See, Vlad, you're no longer dealing with an old fart who was last seen getting his casket tailored. Got a new president, and he won't get talked down to by a man who's 5'3" and dressed like a cat burglar. So, President Z, you're stuck where so many Trump antagonists are these days, in opposition to common sense. This is not America's war. I know that's confusing because most of our wars aren't. But America voted for the guy who says he'll end this one, and not that cackling hyena who couldn't find Ukraine on a map of Ukraine. Thank you. Trump sees an endless war for what it is, a mountain of dead.
I want one thing to happen. I want all of those young people to stop being killed. They're being killed by the thousands every single week. Last week, 2,700 were killed. 2,700 young, in this case, just about all young boys from Ukraine and from Russia. And that's not young people from the United States, but it's on a human basis. I want to see it stop. The money is one thing, but the death. And they're losing thousands of soldiers a week.
Now, you can't get more sensible than that, which is why all the Dems can do right now is question Trump's methods. Oh, he's such a bully. He's so mean. It's the same thing said about DOJ, the border, men and women's bathrooms, and about everything that requires the sense and brains of an adult. But look, Vlad, we could help pull those minerals out of the ground, partner with solid American businesses so that Putin wouldn't dare try it again. After all, Putin never attacked Ukraine with Trump in office. So, buddy, it's time you recognized who your friends really are. It ain't the Dems whispering sweet nothings into your ear. It's the guy who dressed you down in front of the world. So put on your big boy pants, even if it means shopping at Baby Gap. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's our favorite ham after glazed and honey baked. Outkick columnist Mary Catherine Ham. His act is a lot like your Netflix password, easy to forget. Comedian Adam Hunter. She's part Scottish, part Romanian, and part lens crafters. Host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. And he's like the Jolly Green Giant, except the jolly and the green part. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA World Champion artist. MCAT, always a pleasure to see you. I don't see you enough.
I know, it's true.
It really is true, but I did install a camera in your apartment,
often.
so that's good. Hey, so basically, isn't this always the case now? Trump will do something that essentially everybody agrees with, and then the argument is over the methods. Yes. Like, he went too far, he's too mean. It's basically, that's all that's left on the table is methods.
Well, and even if they don't all agree with him, many American voters agree with him. I think that's the shift here. It's Zelensky's job to cut a good deal for the Ukrainian people. It's also his responsibility to understand that the political ground in this country is very different than it was a month ago or 20 years ago. And people want an accounting for what exactly we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
That's what they're asking for.
Yeah, it's our money.
Does seem reasonable.
We kind of need that money. I mean, you know, like, I personally need a pool. Adam, what do you make of this political situation? You've been following politics for decades.
Yes, by decades, I mean weeks. I mean, the method, look, maybe Trump would have been better off asking him to just write down 5 things he accomplished last week. But
you never know.
But, I mean, look, he was dressed in all black. It was Black History Month.
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
Look, and now Trump is saying he might withdraw U.S. troops from Germany, which is how you know Elon Musk is not in charge, because he doesn't pull out of anything.
I could see that joke coming like a frisbee in the desert. The moment you said withdraw, I go, it's either going to be about Hunter Biden or Elon Musk.
You could see it coming like Elon Musk. So here's the deal. I mean, if you think about it, like, Zelenskyy was banned from the White House, and like Hunter Biden's dog was allowed to stay. And his dog bit 11 Secret Service people. And look, I love animals, but it might be time to put him down. Not the Hunter Biden, I mean, Joe Biden, the dog. I messed it up by saying Hunter. Okay, go on.
It's okay.
Either one.
It
Either
probably
way.
was his dog, though.
Yes.
Yeah, Joe didn't know what time of the day it was. You can't expect him to know where the his dog's at.
Thank you.
We have gone, speaking of Hunter, off the rails.
Yes.
Oh,
Little.
that's fun.
Our audience has no reference to cocaine. I like that. I like that. Complete silence.
Nope, just that one guy in the back.
One guy going, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Reminds me, I've got to get to a meeting. Kennedy, how are you,
Great,
darling?
wonderful, wonderful to be here with you.
It is great to see
Yes,
you.
I love our fall palette.
Yes. So when you're watching this, I get the sense, like, you've been in negotiations all your life.
I have, Greg.
Was what happened Friday part of a negotiation that happened to be made public because Zelenskyy made it public? Generally, you walk out of it, you can get in fights and negotiations and stuff like that.
Yes, and there's always posturing because both sides, what they're trying to do is get as much as they possibly can in the delicate and fragile time that's kind of like no man's land where, the big aspects of the deal are done, but you haven't actually signed it yet. So there's this little wiggle room window of leverage. But unfortunately, Zelenskyy didn't have any leverage. And I thought it was so strange that these Democrat senators, for their own good, this is for their own political benefit, are pushing him to go over the edge because they know that Trump and Vance together are going to explode. And all Democrats need is for Trump to look like he's pro-Putin because then they get to kickstart the whole Russia thing again. So as long as they have a boogeyman like Russia and they can try Trump to it, they don't have to have any ideas at all. So it's like Zelenskyy is bad at negotiating. He's bad at reading American politics and reading the room. And he let the whole thing fall apart because he's falsely confident because we were the ones, to borrow a cocaine analogy, who gave him a bump for so long.
Yes. Yeah, and while he's taking our bumps, he's not telling us that he's taking bumps from other people. So it's like, hey, dude, stop taking our drugs. You're getting drugs from somewhere else. I hate that guy, Tyrus. Was he set up by those bitches?
He wasn't set up by bitches.
Yeah.
He was set up by a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to go back a couple weeks. Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance, VP, had meetings with him where they were laying this deal out, and he pulled that in the room with them.
Right.
Where he was like, well, here's the deal, because they want the mineral rights. And he can't have them with having rights to mineral rights because he's part of the laundering scheme. We got $64 billion missing. What do people do who steal money from other people? They have to replace it with new money. And this new money happens to be controlled by one of the most transparent presidents of all time, President Trump. So when he did that to Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance, he hurt the little feelings. And they went to President Trump and they said, he wouldn't do the deal. And he yelled at us and he called us names. President Trump said, cool, bring his ass to the house. And then, it's what always happens.
Yeah.
And he walked up in there with his chest out, and then he started to do the same thing to J.D. Vance.
Yes.
And he even made that little threat. And a lot of people keep missing the fact that he said, oh, you're going to feel it. You're not feeling it now.
Yeah.
You'll feel it later. That was a threat. So that's when President Trump said, all right, enough of this. We ain't feeling nothing. You have no cards to play. And then Zelenskyy really got nervous, and he was like, we're not playing cards. And President Trump's like, no, you have no cards to play. And he called him out because he wanted the American people to see it all. Because when this all plays out, you're going to see Zelenskyy is not in it for the Ukrainian people. He's in it for himself. He has made a lot of money, has missed a lot of elections, and the Democrats have been a willing partner because that $64 billion went somewhere, and now they got to account for it. And you can't get our money now without accounting for it. When you're laundering and taking money, you can't have books. So that's what this is really about. He cannot sign that deal. That's why he pulled that. The president called him out on it.
All right, well, there you go. Yeah. Take that, Brit Hume.
Tyrus there seems to know his stuff. I'll be right back. I gotta go to Brit Hume. I'm Brit Hume here, and I've got some. Henry.
It's not just he does the impression; he even got the little neck fold right.
What does Brit Hume have to do with this?
Brit Hume has nothing to do with this. I just like to be. I just get off doing Brit Hume. Brit Hume.
He stroked himself like Brit Hume.
All right, we got to move on. Up next, the Dems went a long way to hide Joe Biden's decay.